Coming to you from the Toyota studio here at Radio Row in New Orleans, I'm Robert Mays. Joining me today, it is Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua. Puka, how you feeling?
Man, life is good.
You are a busy man. You've been all over the place. I'm curious, I want to start this conversation with a team playing in the Super Bowl this week that you guys just played. Mm-hmm. When you were game planning for the Eagles and just thinking about that defense, where did you think you guys could go after them?
I think being able to recognize what our strong suit was, and being able to put the game in our playmakers' hands in the pass game, in the wide receivers, being able to attack their secondary and get the matchup that we want. But then also sticking to our core, we love to run the ball straight downhill and get after them, and I think those are kind of our two main points.
They're so good at limiting explosive plays. I mean, that's kind of how that defense is devised. How do you kind of go about devising a way to throw the ball down the field when you know that's the type of defense that you're going against?
Yeah, I think being able staying ahead of the chains obviously is if they know that you're trying to pass the ball, those front four have an ability to get to the quarterback that causes a lot of problems. But then not every play has to be dialed up for a 40-yard gain. You can find quick dumps down the field to gain explosives, to be able to run after catch. I think is something that I know is something that I feel like we had in our game plan, to be able to get the ball and then just to be able to run and make guys miss. I think that's something that will provide them challenges.
This is going to seem like a strange question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does your mom enjoy watching your games?
Yeah, she does. Why?
The reason that I ask that is because when I'm watching you play, I find myself wincing. Like, the amount of pure punishment you take as a receiver is just different than a lot of the guys who play the position. Whether you're digging out safeties, whether you're running the ball, some of the landings you had this year on like contested catches on the sideline, having someone who cares about you watch you play that way, I can't imagine how stressful that is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, what is her actual experience when she watches you play?
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, it is joy and excitement. My mom, she may not know all the rules to football, but she definitely has been watching it long enough with all of my brothers and to know what are the key moments. And she always does come with the post-game report of how she thought it went down. But no, there normally isn't anything like that. She definitely does ask how I'm feeling after. She knows I take some beatings, but there are no be like, man, are you feeling okay? She's like, hey, you better start your treatment process.
When you guys like build a game plan and you start to figure out like how much physically is going to be asked of you during a given game, it's just such a different set of demands than most receivers around the league. Like, when you think about just how you're deployed versus other wide receivers at that position, how do you kind of square that? Do you enjoy playing the way that they ask you to play?
Yeah, I do. I feel like in the little kid, the football player that was in the backyard playing with his older brothers, like that's how I've always envisioned the game. There's a physicality and there is a level of physicalness that is required in every part of the game, just because you have to have on your head on a swivel at all times. You never know, and to physically overtake and overpower somebody is what brings me a lot of joy in the game of football. So to be a part of the run game and to in blocking and being able to run the ball, but then also, man, when I get the ball while I'm catching it on a routes to punish the defenders who are trying to come tackle me. So, man, when it might not be me running them over the next play, but if it's Kyron or Higgs or Coop or somebody like that, they're not gonna hit as hard because they just got hit hard before that. So I think it's a part of it. I love it. I hope it doesn't go away. I know the game is changing for the safety of the players, but I think there's still a physicality and a toughness that is required in the game of football.
You mentioned Cooper. You joked on Twitter this week that you thought it was NBA trade season.
Yeah.
When you hear that he comes out and says it's very likely that I'm going to be traded this offseason, what's your initial reaction to that?
Definitely a little bit of confusion. I think I've been blessed to be able to run to Cooper for these past 2 years, and he's been nothing but a mentor to me, and to be able to teach me everything that he feel like is necessary for the success in this game of football. I'm still trying to learn some of the X's and O's that he's so detailed on. But being able to be with him in the offseason last year and to be out watching him as he prepares throughout the season for these past 2 years, you watch somebody who's detail oriented, like who's paying attention to the small details, and the captain and leader of our team, somebody who communicates so well. So it's been so exciting and such a blessing to be able to be behind him.
When you watch tape with him, what are things he's noticing that maybe you wouldn't be able to at this stage of your career?
Yeah, I think some of that, man, we're watching just the run cut-ups, and I'm looking at the receivers and how they're getting attached to the DBs or the safeties or where the rotation is happening, and he's like, man, the combination didn't get through to the backer right there. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, look at these guys right here in the O-line. And I'm like, dude, I'm looking out by the numbers where we're at, man. I'm looking where, and he's like, that's not where the action's at. And then in the pass concept and doing the same thing and understanding where certain runs are supposed to hit and how defenses and when we motion and how the defense is responding. I'm just looking at, man, I'm trying to make sure my motion landmarks are the right and how I'm moving on the football field is precise, but he's being able to do that and then look at other people and making sure that they're in the right spot. So I'm like, man, my view of football is still kind of 1/11th of what's going on.
I mean, back in the day, like 2017, 2018, they actually had him like doing combos with the tackle and some of those things. So the fact that the offense has evolved past that is probably a good thing for you at this stage of your career. And I think in a lot of ways, he's kind of been an expression of what the Rams have been over the last 7 years, right? 2017, 2018, they can live in 11 because he's almost an extra tight end. Matthew gets there, it spreads out a little bit, he wins the Triple Crown. Can you imagine what the Rams with Sean McVay are without Cooper Kupp?
I guess it's still kind of too fresh to kind of think about, but I think of the standards that he's set in the receiver room and in the offense of to be an extra receiver, to feel like we're in 11 personnel because we block and we're getting the right guys and we're getting attached and we understand where the runs are going and how to impact the run game as a wide receiver who's not touching the ball, but then also when you see Matthew come out there and you see us be able to spread it out and it feels like we're throwing the ball 50 times to still be an attacking threat on the offensive side of the ball as a receiver. It just, Cooper Kupp epitomizes all of those things as a wide receiver, and especially, he set the standard in the receiver room, and that's what we're looking for.
Working with Sean over the last couple years, what have you come to appreciate just about the way that he sees the game? Somebody that from the outside that doesn't work with him every day just really wouldn't understand.
I guess there is just a little bit of crazy that you need for sure. Somebody who loves the game of football and the passion that he has, it comes out, and it's so exciting to be in that room with him and have those conversations because you feel that as a player and you understand that, man, he's trying to do everything he can to put you in the best situation to succeed, and his level of communication provides that clarity to be able to go out there and do what is needed, and makes it so fun because I know why I'm lined up in the certain spots I am. I know how we're trying to attack the defense here, and the reason is there, so it makes being able to go out there and do it with excitement that much more capable of doing that.
One specific thing about the offense this year, you guys went back to a lot more under center play action than you had been using over the last couple seasons, really since Matthew got there. You guys were more in the gun and the pistol. Did they ever explain to you why you guys were leaning into that a little bit more this year?
No, I think I'm sure there definitely is a little bit of a preference for Matthew and just trying to, but I know it definitely does provide some challenges of a man having that split second where you're not facing the defense and then trying to dissect it in the matter of seconds that you have. But I think of somebody you trust in the guys and being able to dial up the right plays against the right defense, but then you also trust in your guys to go able to make a play come to life. Not everything is exactly how it's going to be drawn up when they're putting it in X's and O's, but when you have guys like Matthew Stafford and we have guys on the O-line who are capable of providing the protection that we need, it's fun when you get to dial up and throw the ball 75 yards down the field because we got somebody who can do it.
Nick Caley just got hired as the Texans offensive coordinator. What are Texans fans and just that organization, what are they getting with somebody like Nick Caley?
Shoot, I think Coach Caley having that same kind of energy and that love,
really
crazy
does,
passion
man.
for the game of football. You see it in some of the times when our tight ends are scoring and you see, man, Coach Caley's in the end zone celebrating with them. You're like, man, hopefully we don't get a penalty. But that excitement and then the attention to detail, the tight end being an extension of the O-line room and how much they have to pay attention to the contour of the shell of the defense. And then they're also having to be involved in blocking some of the biggest specimens to walk the football field. So somebody who's going to be create a physical mentality in that organization, but then somebody who loves and has a great passion for this game.
I've asked a lot of receivers this over the last couple of days. If you could steal one trait from another receiver in the league, who would it be and why?
Give me Xavier Worthy for sure, or Tyreek Hill. Let me run 4.2 with waking up right out of bed and phew, out of there.
Everybody's been saying that.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to be a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Last thing, you're here with Toyota, working with the next generation of superstars in the NFL. Just tell me a little bit about the work that you've done with Toyota here over the last year or so.
So it's been a blessing to be able to work with Toyota. I grew up in Las Vegas in Utah, where I couldn't go to the Sprouts and run into the football player or the professional football player or sports player who was in the town because there was no sports team. But the blessing it has been to just be able to interact with people, and people have come up to me like, man, I drive a Toyota Supra, and they're like, man, I love your Supra. I'm like, oh, are you? I'm like, I'm sure. Did you hear me coming all the way down the way? Because I drive as fast as I can legally. But then the blessing it has been during the back end of the season, I was we brought out the Watch Rams organization, who's down there in Inglewood, and to be able to interact with some of those kids and then to donate to that football organization and to support the next generation of football players. I've been a football fan my whole entire life, and to be able to give back to kids who are playing this game and the kids who show up and they're like, man, I have your jersey at home. It's still in shock to me. It still makes me, it's still surreal, but it's a blessing to be able to have the partnership that I have to be able to support me in that way and be able to impact the future.
Awesome. Really appreciate it, Puka. Very much appreciate the time. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.